I was just going to say, like, as far as, like, they tried to make their socialist utopia back in the 18th century, or 19th. So all the revolutions that were occurring were basically controlled by secret societies. It was the heyday of secret societies, right?
Yeah.
They had their chance at power, and once they get the power, who knows what they would have done? Maybe somebody would have, and maybe a head would have popped out of the corner, and it would have been a monarchist, right?
Right. So what do you think about, I mean, many people are, for instance, talking about depopulation as another big factor to all of this, that once the infrastructure of a world government comes into place, or potentially even before that, there will be, you know, massive die-offs of humans on the earth, because that's one potential agenda that they have here, that they consider there to be too many people, for instance, on the planet. Do you think that that's something that is on the agenda, that is on the wall, so to speak?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been proven by, they write books about it, memoirs and official policy books for the Club of Rome and stuff. It's straight from the horse's mouth. Sure.
Mm. Okay, so we have something. I mean, do you think today that there's a good way to you know, give people, you know, information about this in another way? What I guess what I'm asking you is that what do you think we have to do in order to you know, get savvy to this, or spread the message more, or help to stop this, I guess we can say. Do you think the only way to do it is to spread information about it, or what do you consider the remedy to all of this be, so to speak?
Uh, well, right now we still have freedom in the Western world anyway, right? And we can go out, we can form political parties, and we can start from the ground up here in our own town or city, and then you can just grow it from there. I mean, there should be about 200 or 300 Ron Pauls out there doing what he already done.
Yeah.
That's short of a revolution. I don't see any other way of dethroning the master elite who are at the top, right?
Mm, yeah.
And it may have to come to a revolution. Who knows? But at the moment, a lot of people are not involved in politics, and if they would really want to change something, that's probably what they're going to have to do, and start out locally, right?
Right. Right.
I mean, if you go to vote and you only have two parties to vote for, the bad one or the even worse one,
Right. Right.
what chances do you have of changing it, right?
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
You can educate people all you want, but you know, a lot of people especially the internet. The internet is, for most people, probably is an entertainment vehicle. Right? They go on and they goof around, they chat, they do stuff, but there's all kinds of information that most people are missing out on.
That's right. So politics is one thing, of course. I'm thinking of the idea again here. If we tie this back to the potential, you know, hijacking, if it were, of that particular system. I've been having this basically little idea that it seems to me that they are also very keen on showing the how corrupt politicians are. Rightly so, of course, because they are, and that there is tremendous amounts of corruption going on within the political systems around the world. But they've been very keen on showing that lately. And what I'm getting at is that I wonder if people get very tired of the political system, and in many cases they lose their trust in the political system, meaning that they don't see that that's a possibility to bring in some kind of change, or bring in something that they want to see in the world being taken into effect. And it seems to me that also has been I guess part of the agenda, in that sense, that if it indeed were the people who from the get-go were interested in the democratic process and bringing that in through the revolutions that took place in France and whatnot, but now they've even potentially managed to take that away from us. I don't know if you follow my train of thought there, but or have any comments on it. But I see that once it might have actually been a place where you could do some kind of change and bring in changes to the political structure, but even that seems to be a very, very difficult thing these days. What do you think, Terry?
You got to start locally. That's the only thing I can say, because if you go to your local school on election day and you only get 2 or 3 choices, there's something wrong there.
Yeah.
And in most cases, only two choices. You got to start a political party, and it's got to be local, and it's got to expand from there. And then there's got to be people who are willing to go out and do it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Maybe we can, in the last 10 or 15 minutes that we have left here in this hour, I have a few more things that I'd like to, I guess, go back to again and talk about. One thing, for instance, that I'd like to get your take on, and I don't know if you've written about this or anything in your book, but how about the connection between Beethoven and the Illuminati? I think I saw an article about that actually on your website the other day.
Yeah.
We know that he has some pretty interesting connections with the magical flute and Freemasonry, as an initiation and so forth. But what about the connection to the Illuminati and Beethoven?
They were right there, smack in the dab in the middle of the Illuminati. They were, well, especially Mozart. Mozart was already a Mason, and he was, his father was initiated to Master Mason in an Illuminati lodge in Vienna. The head of the Illuminati lodge was Ignaz von Born, and he was the head of all the Illuminati in Vienna. So they were good friends with von Born. The whole milieu that they were surrounded with were Illuminati. Whether the Mozarts themselves knew that their friends were actually Illuminati instead of just your regular Joe Freemasons, I'm not sure, but try as I may, I couldn't find no list with Mozart on it, and I asked an expert a real expert in the Illuminati in Germany, and he said, no, don't even try. Everybody has been trying to prove it, but there's no list with his name on it.
Okay.
But he was surrounded by Illuminati. He was in their lodges, composing music for the lodge. It was an actual luminous lodge. I mean, Vienna had a major Illuminati there. And Beethoven and Bonn, he was surrounded by all kinds of Illuminati.
What role do you think the music had? And I guess I stand corrected. You mentioned Mozart. He was the guy behind the magical flute, obviously, as I mentioned, not Beethoven. But what do you think the music, how that plays into this? We've done a few programs talking just about the influence of music and so forth, and that would be interesting to get your take on that. Do you think that was an instrument to manipulate people on some level, or what do you think the interest in music and composers were in regards to the Illuminati?
Well, back then they were making plays and stuff, and there was all kinds of symbolism they put into it. I guess it probably was made to influence the viewing audience in some way or another. Because back then, all they really cared about was enlightening the public and making them think for themselves and not be controlled by the hierarchy of the church and the nobility and stuff. So, yeah, there was all kinds of symbolism in there. But the thing is, about my book, I identified so many members, like I say, 447.
Yeah.
And every time they were a friend or a patron or something of Mozart, I recorded that and I recorded the ones with Beethoven and stuff. But as far as digging into the connections more, that's probably for somebody else to do.
Hmm. Yes.
At least I've done the legwork and connected them.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of people who were Illuminati who were good friends with them. So
Interesting. So yeah, I guess you can say also then that your book is a bit of a like an what do you call it? An
sort of like
encyclopedia?
an encyclopedia.
Right. Right.
I'd say that's probably what it's looking like now.
That's really interesting, and it's mostly kind of biographical or biographies in there of the people who were involved. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's the first time it's ever been compiled in the English language. So, and like most people, most of the people I've identified, we did not even know that they were Illuminati.
Is there any other very important figures here that you like to mention or names or that we haven't talked about so far? I mean, there's a lot, obviously, I understand that, but is there anyone that comes to your mind right now?
Uh, I really don't know where to start because there's so many of them. Eh?
I know.
There's a few connections to the Rothschilds, but not many.
Okay, but what do you recall what those are? The Rothschilds connections?
There's Karl von Hessen-Kassel. His brother was the guy who had a relationship with Rothschild. I already recorded that in one of my articles. And the other guy was Karl von Dalberg. He was from a nobility family, and he was appointed coadjutor bishop of Mainz and Worms. And he was an ordained priest, and anyways, he lent money. He lent money to Napoleon, which was given to him by Rothschild.
Okay.
So he lent money from Rothschild. Advanced 80,000 gulden to Dalberg to finance his journey to Paris for the baptism of Napoleon's son.
Okay.
And they had a long relationship, him and Mayor Armschild, Rothschild. So that's two. And out of the 447, there's only three that I've managed to identify. The other one is Thurnon Taxis.
Taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah. He was an Illuminati, one of the Taxis family.
Really, that's very interesting because I read up on them the other day, and those were the guys basically who were behind many things, obviously, but the modern post system, among other things. Isn't that right?
Yeah, yeah. And his descendants today are billionaires still.
I know.
The reason why one of the reasons why Rothschild was so had so much good information was because he got to spy on the letters that were going back and forth to the sovereigns, and the Thurnon Taxis family provided that intelligence for him.
Exactly. Very, very interesting. Huh.
And so, since he was an Illuminati, he was also supplying the intelligence to his brother at the same time, right?
Yeah, that would explain it. I think the Taxis came out of Italy, if I'm not mistaken, and they had a lot of routes throughout Europe, throughout some of the more prominent cities, and were handling basically the mail for the royal families, right?
Yeah. He was in 1782. Count Theodis was the senior warden for Innsbruck Lodge, and joined the Eclectic Alliance Lodge, which was Illuminati controlled, and then in 1782 he was initiated into the Illuminati. But he's a prince. He's a count. Count Thaddeus von Thurnon Taxis. I haven't been able to identify when he was born or when he died, but I just know that his title was the General Postmaster for the Holy Roman Empire.
Yes, there you go. Very, very interesting. So, I mean, there's a lot of these prominent families around in